Here we go. So this is the Road Run podcast, or the broadcast episode number, I can't remember, but from the treatment table with Ross. So yeah, we're just going to talk about all things sports injury and stuff today, aren't we? There's sort of last time, so see how it goes.
Bit of an insight, right, into what you actually go through as you're running.
Yeah, well, exactly. Obviously, I think probably the most common issues people have are with the legs. I think we spoke about that last time, right? And I think that's normally what I suffer with. Achilles issues or any sort of calf issues is normally a major issue. And normally that's through overuse for most people. Hopefully not me anymore, touch wood.
Fingers crossed, mate.
Fingers crossed, not as any calf or Achilles issues. I think since we started nearly 2 years ago. That's not too bad. Obviously, just keep it on top of things. I think it's basically proven that as long as you sort of try and keep your volume and intensity levels in the right place, then normally you can avoid most of the injuries that you get.
Yeah, I think it goes around, we said this before, right, is it's not just a recovery in sort of one pack. I think we said from the start, didn't we, like, for me, especially as a sports masseuse, it's about sports and about what you're doing in all the angles, which is something that you do really, really well now, right? Is if you're starting to think that one day, for example, you throw in a cycling session, so you're taking care of your body that way, nutritionally, you're with matter, you're taking care of yourself that way. Sleep-wise, you're trying, while also running your own thing where possible, to bridge in your sleep and getting your Zs in your recovery. So this is just the added top right of also then you see the chiropractor, and you see your sports masseuse, and it's a real insight to normal people how, I think we said it last time, right, and you said it, about training as an athlete. Well, you're not an athlete, but training as an athlete and taking it that seriously when you come to these high intense, high volume events to the strength of the body. So you've got to train as an athlete and treat it as such.
Yeah, 100%. I'm literally trying to do that myself as best as I can. Obviously, some things are not always going to be 100% spot on, but things that are in your control, like your diet, like preparation, and so like everyone's got a bit of time, don't they? I know people say they're busy, but if you like set yourself up to fail, don't do your meal prep. Or obviously here it's quite easy just to do your pre-bought meals, which is like you eat pretty healthy and for about the same price as you would if you're otherwise eating burgers off Deliveroo or whatever. Makes sense. And like you say, other things, sleep. I mean, nobody's forcing you to stay up and watch Netflix, are they? No. You just get into your rack and get 8 hours sleep if you can. Even if you're working like a brutal job, if you still get like 6 hours, it's still better. Avoid alcohol as much as you can, so that your sleep quality is not compromised. And, all that sort of stuff. But then obviously the main thing is like get your training protocol, training regime sorted, so you're not just like going out and just doing random workouts. You're actually specifically working towards something. And not everyone needs to do that. I mean, some people just enjoy just doing whatever. But if you are trying to like get to a goal, like trying to do your first marathon or something, like chances of having a successful first marathon where you're just winging it there, like pretty slim. Especially if you have literally no idea what you're doing. You can probably get most of the information that I can give you like off the internet. I mean, because ultimately I've learned it from sources and courses that are probably free on the internet. You could go and learn, but the thing is most of the time people aren't willing to go in and actually learn about the process and learn the different things they need to do. But obviously that's why I come in. If you don't want to go and do that, then I can just simply tell you the information.
And look, we've that's a conversation that I have with many people as well. It's around about the difference between doing something for a set goal. Once you start to set goals and you want to achieve goals, you need the people around you. There's a bit of advice that somebody said to me a few weeks back, which was, don't take advice of somebody that you haven't met, because there's that genuine care, that genuine knowledge, that genuine thought process behind it. It's their job, right, to understand and know how to get the best out of you, or how to push you forward, especially in the healthcare industry and the sporting world. You know that at times there's jobs and areas where people feel like they're being sold, but that's part of maybe having that personal touch as a coach, check-ins and those sort of things. That's where they're important, is to make people feel valued on top of just sending them a program, right? Which I guess probably most of my clients and most of your clients really just appreciate that. Yeah, no, I'm good, thank you. And that check-in with them. But yeah, you're right, not everybody has to do it. If they're not setting a goal, if their aim is to complete a marathon for a charity, those sort of things are slightly different. So some people are having goals. If you're trying to do a sub 4-hour marathon, you've got to really understand how to do that. Mm-hmm. That's where I think most people get caught up, right, is that they don't have that knowledge around, oh, it's just a run. Yeah, but how does your technique have to be? It has to be. How's your pacing? What does your pacing need to be to get a sub 4 hour at certain stages? How are you going to feel at certain, and that as a runner, that's your main thing. You really understand that because you've done numerous marathons now. You've even tried triathlon, those sort of things. So for you, you can actually advise people on how they might feel at certain stages. It might not be the same stage as you, but you can say, when you start to feel this feeling, because I did it, I've done it, people value that information, right? Yeah, it's all about information, I think, going forward for people and helping people and get them to understand that.
Absolutely. This is for anyone watching the video, not just listening, this is like some sort of form of torture, which will obviously keep me injury free, hopefully, for a while. But I'm also feeling pretty tender right now. I've not really done that much yesterday. I was sick during the track session, so I only managed to do 4 reps of the meant to be 10 to 10. So my legs aren't tired from that, but just more like residual fatigue from like weeks of training. I actually was supposed to go and do my my 5k session, which was 4 times 400 meters at 5k pace. I literally set off to do it at 10 past 11. It's now 10 past 10. It's now 10 past 12, and I ran 350 meters, and I've been it off because my stomach is absolutely killing me. So yeah, not great. Yeah, not great. But I think that's probably maybe an important lesson, listening to the body. I will probably try and see if it's any better later on. I've got a bit of time later on, so yeah. I've had my kefir drink to hopefully try and settle my stomach, but we'll see if that does anything.
See if it works, mate. Could do. I think going back onto what you said, like that form of torture, like that's a big thought process from my side. That's the most feared word, right? Because everyone's like, oh, it's going to hurt so much, it's going to be torturous. Now, there are some occasions, as you've experienced in the past, and probably if there's any of my clients watching, will definitely know that they've been through some form of that grading that I use of 3 to 10 pain levels, where they've probably seeped over that 6, 7, where it's just about variable. Especially remember the first session we ever did. Yeah, in a year and a half ago, that piriformis area was delightful for you, and you enjoyed that one. But yeah, no, it's kind of a myth, sports massage, with that it should be painful. So you see these videos now of this lactic acid flushing, and they've got bars and they're screaming their heads off. It should never be like that. Like, there's a way and a process that we know, although I will stick up for us a hell of a lot and say our knowledge is different to just going to get your sports massage down at your parlour, which they say that they do sports massage, but it's quite a generalised massage. It's the knowledge and the advice that goes in with it as well, isn't it? It's we've been quite big on getting you to do stuff in your homework, if you like, which you don't like doing, with certain exercises for recovery, and especially that's the big thing, going back to check-ins between you and I, that we make sure that the clients that we both have and we know that are with you and with I, is that check-in of, right, you need to alter the planning maybe for this week because they're just starting to feel a niggle, or you say to them, look, if it's a certain type of niggle that they're feeling or a certain type of pain, you haven't got that knowledge, so that's why then maybe I come in to help them out, and always there just to sort of help them out. But pain level roughly at the moment?
It's pretty bad on that bit, like 6 or 7 maybe.
So it's probably about our limit, mate.
Yeah.
6 or 7 should be where it is, enough that it starts to then relax into it, trigger points it, and release it around the knees. Yeah. Should you try and get back out later?
Yeah, but I think, I don't know, I might do it on the trainer. Going in for a meeting at the gym at 2:30, and then I might do it after that. I'll just see, really. See how I feel. My body feels great, and I feel like everything around the body, like, last week I felt like I was really pushing and like felt good for it, and then just obviously Sunday was doing my long run.
Yeah.
Was sick during my long run. Was doing my run yesterday, sick during my run. Stomach feels like it's flipped, so
Not great.
it's weird. It's not like a sickness feeling like you get when you're like ill, like a bug. It's just like, I think realistically I've probably eaten something that was not good for me at the weekend.
Yeah.
And it's just made me feel rotten.
Would you, so carrying on the injury group, in terms of for your runners, if somebody's got little niggles that are starting to crop up, how often would you say that you tell them to use the bike, the swimming pool, the things that they've got around them, that just takes that pressure off that maintains their cardio state?
I realise that it depends. Some people, the easy fix is just like replacing the easy miles with the bike like immediately. So if they're doing like 5 runs a week,
Yeah.
you know, that's probably going to encompass maybe a couple of sessions, like hard sessions. And then that's probably going to be a couple of easy runs around that, and then probably a longer run. I mean, the easy fix is just to replace either the easy, well, you can do either. You can replace either the easy runs, depending on what the sort of injury is, just with recovery bikes, just obviously reduce the actual volume.
Yeah.
And then obviously if these are like injuries that maybe someone's picking up through like intensity or any sort of harder runs, obviously they would be taken out of the session anyway. And you can sort of target the heart rate zones that you're sort of going for with bike sessions. That just obviously, each case is different, and like to sort of judge it just depends on what sort of somebody's doing, what their goals are, etc.
Yeah.
And you know, because if you're doing like say a half marathon plan and you're doing anywhere between 4 and 8 minute rep sessions back to back, I mean, it's very easy to replicate that on the bike. Like you can literally do the exact same thing. You can do it in the exact same heart rate zones.
Yeah.
Or even if you're not doing heart rate zones, you're not doing that, you can do like it with intensity. So if it's like a 6 or 7 out of 10 intensity, I mean, that's easy to figure out on the bike. And like, yes, it's not going to be specific for running. Like running does require specific adaptations to happen, which can only really happen for running. But like for the majority of people, that extra bit of fitness is going to get them trending in the right direction anyway. So,
Yeah.
you know, get them more aerobically fit and obviously build up muscles around, you know, potential injury points, knees, hips. Also, you know, working around on the muscles on the bike, etc., are going to be, you know, really good to work anyway. So it's, you know, pretty good. And then it's not necessarily just like the bike. You know, you can do. I'm really big on like getting people to use the cross trainer, especially because it's a bit more running specific, and you know, use a bit more of the muscles that are used. You know, obviously all the muscles are used, but I mean in more specific way, and sort of mimics a bit more of running form on the elliptical. So it's just without the impact. And you know, professional runners are big on doing this too. So I think people sort of they don't see what, you know, more elite people are doing, but they are doing this type of training.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you can sort of add that into your routine, it's really helpful.
Yeah, I only ask because it's big for me. And trying to say to people on why and explain to them exactly those reasons. So it's nice to hear the running coaches and people, because it goes back to that thing we talked about with one of the sports on the last one, right? Certain coaches not giving their clients, if you like, or the class people coming in, the overall factor. You go in, you do one class, and as we spoke about last time, the specific injuries that people start to see from certain sports because they haven't then done all of the work on the outside. They go in, they do their normal high rocks class or their CrossFit class. You don't see what these athletes who are the professional high rockers and CrossFitters and runners do all on the outside to keep them at the top and keep them as injury free as possible. It's not just as easy as getting up off sofa and running 5k usually going, yeah, I'm going to run a marathon. There's a lot of work to it, and there's a lot of knowledge and spikes. When you're feeling low, maybe after hard weeks and exhausted towards the end of your 70, 80 kilometre weeks, it's important, isn't it, to
Absolutely.
to keep that. And yeah, it's hand in hand with me really, where I'm trying to get people to do the same thing, right? Is when they come to me and they say, if you've got any chance of doing certain lengths or certain distance, you need to do these things. There's no harm for people to say that they're getting injured from running and actually still trying to make it, but crossing over and taking that little bit of the pressure off of their joints. Most of it's runner's knee, isn't it? unless it's an actual injury per se. But most of what I see here is people that have got up, gone, and then they're not doing, because I know you're quite big on your resistance isometric weighted activities as well, aren't you, for the abs stuff, which is something that I'm massive on as well. Is you can't just get up and run, you still need some strength and muscle. All the top guys still do some form of strength work.
Absolutely. Especially in like what would be classed as like an off-season or build-up period towards a race. You know, they might not be doing heavy lifting. I think that's where they sort of everything's periodized, where it's not they're going to do heavy lifting maybe in season. They'll probably do more like plyometrics and you know, lighter stuff just to keep themselves strong throughout the season. You know, did you have those off periods of races where they, you know, sort of focus on working on things they can work on? And this is important. The guys on camps are doing, even if it's not full weight training, they're going to be doing circuit training style, hill running, things like this that are going to be, you know, work on strength and work on building a bit of muscle around. You know, it's sort of gone are the days of people saying you need to be super skinny and not strong anymore, you know.
Yeah, just run. It's not just enough anymore with these guys. Yeah. Especially when they got that whole package around. So we put so much science into the way that we do stuff now.
Yeah.
It's important for people, I think, to understand. And it's the same with the recovery. Like, the body still needs its art of recovering itself, but then also sometimes it just needs that aid of recovery too. I've been big on with me is trying to get people to still be in control of their fitness and their health, really, rather than being and feeling like, oh yeah, I bought a pack from you, I need to use all 10 up quickly. Using it as and when they need to, when they really need to, if they're in that maintenance stage rather than being in the injury state.
Yeah.
People need to understand maybe just around those sort of things. There's so much information out there now, it's hard to, at times, get like a needle in a haystack, isn't it, trying to find what's right and what's wrong.
Especially with social media. It's just so bad. I guess anything would be taken out of context. You could probably take anything we've said in this conversation out of context and make us look like absolute clowns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, cite some obscure study about, or what I've said, just as like complete nonsense. But yeah, I guess you have to believe in what you believe in and so back yourself, right?
Yeah, I think that's the unfortunate side of social media for people like us, isn't it? Is when you genuinely care and you've tried and tested with people already, and it takes somebody with a blue tick and a PhD to come along and say, well, no, the research said that's not real. But in that moment, in that situation with your client that you've spent all your time with, you know better than anybody. So you've given them something that has worked before and is working again, but the research says, you know, that didn't work. And you see a lot of people doing it now, probably for the views and earning a bit of money because they've got a fair few followers. And
yeah,
people love to put people down and rip them to shreds. So
thank God, touch wood. Yeah, I've not been a victim of a scandal or abuse yet, so
no. I mean, luckily me neither, mate. So,
man, one day, hopefully.
I'm probably more likely than you with Dubai massage, right? Because there's that whole cliche around what's going on. But
yeah,
you started it, I reckon.
Not me.
But that's what it could be. It's like you just said. It could take someone takes a clip out of this now, small section about something we've said, and gone, oh no, this is what these guys said.
Yeah. I see quite a lot of bitter people actually like never say anything specific, but they'll like put people into classifications. If someone they see, especially if they see someone doing well here, it's like very quick to like go on social media and like try and shoot someone down and be like, I've seen people do it with like the run club and obviously the success we've had, and I've seen people post indirectly, but I've like caught wind of it or someone sent me it where they'd be like, these run clubs are ridiculous now, like they're not running for the right reasons and stuff, and like all that. It's like people are just so quick to just like go on social media and chat absolute nonsense, aren't they? Like, just, I mean, these people are normally just not happy in themselves, aren't they? They're just trying to like find a way to be pissed off and vent out. So,
all they're at a different run club, right? Because
yeah, their run clubs are, that's what I've seen. I've seen another group of runners say about our run club before, say they're not real runners. Join a proper run club, like, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
Yeah, like, you started running 10 years ago, oh, like, great, you're like 45, like, most of our guys are like 30, yeah, of course you started running 15 years ago, like, you're older than them.
It's not a specialised sport, is it? You know, like back in the UK, where if you were part of a tennis club, you had to go and pay a fortune to get part of an affiliated tennis club. Cricket was Cricket was fairly similar, where a lot of people, golf's another one. You've got to have a bit of money to be able to go and play those sports. And
It should be literally a sport for everyone, and people who are like runners and run marathons and stuff should be happy to see other people, especially young people,
yes,
get involved in it. Because like for the longest time, probably like 10 years ago, there was no young people at running, like at our local running club. There was probably like 15 people turning up to a track session, and nobody was actually doing anything. Now you've got 100 people going to a run club in Dubai, and there's another 7, 8 clubs, all people running. You're like, that's absolutely great to see. And it's great to see people out being like healthy and all sorts of stuff. Like, if you're going to take the piss out of anyone, take the piss out of people who are not doing anything.
Yeah, who are just, yeah.
I mean, don't do that, obviously, just be nice to them as well. But I mean, you shouldn't be taking the mick out of people who are trying to get more people moving and are getting people moving. And if it means that people will get classified as like they're not proper runners and they're run influencers or whatever, I mean, so be it. Who gives a damn?
Yeah, but like, if some of these people love running and that's how they started out, and actually now they've moved over to being, you know, an influencer across running, then so be it. If they're being paid to do what they love to do, you know, that's no different to me doing what I did. I left teaching to come and do this. I love what I'm doing now, so I'm being paid to love what I do. Now, I'm not any form of an influencer, right? Like,
no.
But if people are going to get the opportunity, we'd all snap your hand off for it. You go back to being a kid. Dream for me was football, for you maybe rugby, whatever, there's boxers out there. Okay, so what, you're going to knock those people down because they've got a dream to be a professional?
Yeah, exactly, but people do that, and I think that just probably says more about that than an individual. My dream was to be on this massage table getting this massage right now, and videoing it.
Dreams come true, mate. Especially in Dubai, it's the place of dreams.
Probably a bit of like British mentality that actually, I feel like people who are maybe like born and raised here, you almost have like that. People are really happy to see other people doing well, and like people are happy, and I think like maybe that's like an American thing too. Like in Britain, like you'll know people in the UK if like someone does really well, and the first thing someone does is absolutely slag them rotten.
Yes,
like put someone down.
I always find with places like this as well is that you have access, right, where you don't necessarily have, and again, maybe it's a British mentality or whether it's just the mentality of England or whatever, but they seem to be in close quarters in England where you're really, you know, I mean, you're talking like the super rich people, the people that have made it and got real money, the old money, not the new money. They're just super nice and super helpful, generally, those people. I find, for me, it's a lot of the influencers actually that are a bit of a pain. Because they are wanting to knock people down, and that's, whether that's to do with the algorithms that you're using or whatever it might be, because it gives them that monetization around stuff and they're quite happy to knock people down in their video confidently. And
I think all these, like the algorithms in social media, like they're super biased towards negative stuff. Like if you are negative about stuff on Instagram, like it is more popular rather than just like spreading the positivity and stuff, but I'm not sure why that is. Probably like someone's done some sort of study on how, I guess like humans probably maybe, this could all be taken out of context, so I don't know what I'm talking about, but like if you hear danger, you immediately like think, like if there's something wrong, you like tune into it, right? Whereas if something's good and like proper, like there's no danger, then you don't really need to tune into it, everything's fine.
It's good, yeah, the world has a way of reminding when everything's going good, right? The world has a way of reminding you that just stay in your lane and stay good. But yeah, so what you're saying is basically from now on, and if we do these again, it just needs to slate each other for half an hour to 40 minutes. I just need to hurt you.
Going on here because it's sore.
So I just need to hurt you, and then you need to slate. It's perfect. Can tie in really well.
Mate, I think this might be the first ever podcast from the table like anyone's ever done. I've never seen it before, and it might be for good reason. It might not be good viewing.
Well, we'll find out. That'd be good. I mean, look, just talking about your muscles just for a second, going away from that. You're always fairly tight on the outside.
Yeah.
Coming here now, many reasons for that for people who watch it, and it's just that you could be in your outside foot runner, so you've got that little bit more pressure. You could have more cynical stuff going on where the pelvis could be slightly twisted, or it could be your leg length, as people call it, saying you've got one leg longer than the other, which is how most people will run it. And it creates different pressures right in the quads and stuff. Trying to trigger point it, which is what I'm doing here for you, to release that muscle. So it's a little bit softer.
Feels great.
That's why you have me in bi-weekly to come see you. You love seeing me so much. But generally speaking, from 2 years ago when you first got on this table to where you are now, it's night and day, right? And you're very much now in this constant maintenance phase because we did a lot of correction along with Cathy over at John Express as well. You had a lot of correctional work go on for a fair few months, right, where you were picking up bits and pieces, and now, thank God, you seem to have settled into this maintenance stage where you're at, where you're constantly pretty good most of the time, apart from probably your vitals of your sleep and your recovery and your nutrition and other things that might, and the odd ones like that. Really maintain stuff over.
I literally got so much shit the other day for posting that I'd never done a stretch. So I've not done a stretch in 2 years. And I wonder, does this count as stretch?
So your massage won't necessarily count as a stretch, but I like to use, I'm very similar in the sense that in terms of static stretching, maybe there's a place for it in certain occasions, but I find static stretching definitely starts to weaken the muscles because like elastic bands, you start to pull and pull and pull. It's like people who've got
That's what I literally say, long and weak or short and strong.
And it's like people who've got desk-based posture. You sit, very much like with your legs out, so your quads are short, your hamstrings get long, your rhomboids and your backbone your traps start to elongate, your pecs get shorter. So where it's that case where something is short, that's where then I would probably just prescribe some static stretching for somebody to do as their homework, if you like. Nothing too drastic where they're doing it probably every day, like some people prescribe them to do because they're weakening their muscle that's probably already weak anyway. But you find that people who find something tense, they then stretch the thing that's weak. So I don't prescribe that sort of stretching for that reason, because until you do your testing, your functional testing, you do your plates and your pressures, and you go and see somebody that's got biomechanics and S&C degrees and things, you don't really truly know. You can see it and have a real idea, right? And you can give your opinion. But as a diagnosis, you can't give it. So for me, I do passive stretching, or old school when I learned it was P&S stretching, which is that one where you hit the biting point of a stretch and you get somebody to push some resistance against you, only sort of a 10-15% force. And then that allows the strength to go deeper, not weakening the muscle per se, because there's still that resistance, right? It's like doing isometric exercises and holds for the same reasons and things like that. So yeah, I agree with you. Long and weak. No one can discredit that. That is proven. And you see a lot of these people in desk-based posture, and chiropractors do it, and sports masseuses do it, and everybody does it. So yeah, for me, static stretching, well, as we know, definitely not before activity at all, ever. But passive stretching is the one that I would go with. So that is included in sports massage rather than the static guy. You won't find that I do too much static stretching at all. You're a bit tight this week though.
Yeah. Just a little bit.
Leaning on the outside. What's the next big thing for you to do? Where you're at? What's up and come?
Doing a 5K race for the club. So the first time that I've done 5K specific training for, honestly, since 2022.
Yeah.
Where I've done a block of 5K stuff. So that's the session that I've got to do today. It's just so different to the type of training that you do for a marathon. It's just so much harder, so much shorter.
Yeah.
To get uncomfortable in that 15 to 20 minute range.
Yeah.
It's just so different to the suffering that you do for 3 hours. I mean, it's completely crazy.
Is it equally as hard to suffer in that stage as it is?
It's twice as hard to suffer in that stage. Your willingness to want to quit is tenfold. You can almost it's like acute versus, I can't remember what's the other word, acute suffering, or long-term suffering.
Chronic.
I can't even think of the word, so I'm thinking about how fucking acutely sore my calf is right now. It's like touching a stove and turning it on and keeping your hand on it. You could keep it on longer than if it was like you had it on full blast and you try and touch it every time. That's what it's like. You want to just immediately get your hand off. Whereas as it slowly warms and warms and warms, you think, oh, it's not bad, it's not bad, it's not bad, it's not bad, and then all of a sudden the suffering comes, and before you know it, you've been suffering for a long time. Whereas when it's like the 5K, you got to go out and set off at such a quick pace from the get go and hold on that it's hard from minute one till the end, and that doesn't matter whether you're a 14-minute 5K guy or gal, or it's 25 minutes, like whatever is that level of suffering for you, it's always going to be the same level of difficulty.
That's the thing that we keep talking about is having that knowledge, right? That most people who are generalised would go, well, 5K is a lot shorter than 42, so there's no suffering there. You just go and run a 5K, that's easy. But to be in that high zone in terms of goals and running 5K races where you are running against people that, okay, let's take it, most people would like to dream to be sub 20, but to get to a sub 20 is hard enough. Then to do what some of these marathon runners are doing is insane. And do that, over and over and over again. But to do a 5K in that zone and then run it is not easy at all. And that's what people don't, I guess, understand about that immediate impact that they have. Because they do these alleged 5Ks, the couch to 5K and that sort of stuff. And I'm not discrediting that at all, because that's a goal for some people. But for those people that want a 5K time and are happy with a 5K time and 5K races and run 5K races, it still proves the need for maybe some coaching and then the recovery, because you're in such a high intense zone that your body's going to feel it, but in a very, very different way.
I think that's what I'm really noticing now, and probably really, I'm 31, which some people are like, oh, wait till you're 40, but I'm 31 now, but the recovery that I get now from when I did the last 5K block when I was like, even 20, like what was that, 27, 28?
Yeah.
Like now, my recovery is dog shit. It's really, really bad compared to like I would think nothing been able to do like back-to-back sessions on back-to-back days, but now that would be like completely out of the question. There's absolutely no way that I'd be able to do it.
Yeah, when you're young, you get told, when you're drinking and stuff, and everyone goes, oh, you wait till you hit 30, and you're in those mid-18s, and you get to your mid-20s, and you start to maybe feel a bit grotty on certain drinks, and then 30, like, you can barely drink anything without getting a hangover, let alone the volume that you used to drink. It's the same I'm learning now from people that I'm treating more and more and more, is that actually I didn't even have that knowledge probably until I became a full-time therapist, that people who get to their 30s, 35s, 40s, they're just like, I just can't recover anymore. And that what I would be saying is my main sort of client base, right? That age group of anywhere between 30, 31 to 40, and then you get the 40 pluses that, especially here in the bio, you're seeing more and more people maybe have children a lot later, especially from a man's side, and their main aim is to still functionally move when they get to their 60s for their grandchildren. It's a big change that people don't really understand. Recovery-wise, I mean, my dad played football, but he was a goalkeeper. In terms of recovery, there wasn't really much needed to go on. He just was there, and that was that. My mum wasn't really sporty at all, so I never got that information and that information overload from people where you would be able to say, like, you wait till you get to your 30s, it'll be very different for you. When you get to your 30s, your recovery goes completely, which is the reason why then you have to invest. And that's what it is, right? It's an investment in yourself. And a lot of these people I get, yeah, but your prices, I could go for a brunch, or 2 brunches, or whatever. And you just think, yeah, you could, but you're going to feel rotten, and you're going to spend a lot more money at it then. But
to tell me what the cupping does?
So cupping can be used in different ways. Obviously, I'm not hugely big, and a lot of clients of mine know I'm not hugely big on doing it so tight that you see that horrendous bruising. Often that's wet cupping as well, or hendama as it's called here, which is where they pin skin, put the cup on, and then the wet cupping comes through the blood, then effectively fills up in the cup. Yeah, it's all the art of bringing new blood through to recover the area, get rid of broken cells, bring your vitamins, your minerals and that to the area that if there's tightness or there's not. I use mine, especially when there's a tight area, as a fascia. 3 layers of your body effectively in very, very simple terms, because again, I could get discredited for this completely, but your skin, your fascia, your muscles, in simple terms, that's the main 3 layers. And the fascia is the lining underneath the skin, a bit like cling film that wraps around and keeps those muscles in. So for those people who go to the supermarket and see their beef and their chicken and it's tight into that cling film so it can't move, that's what your fascia is. Lots of nerves in there, a lot of muscle spasms. generally are tightness in the fascia, and it's coming from that. So like here at this moment in time, very, very tight calf, 3 areas, especially in around this middle point here, mostly because you're quite a good technique and put a lot of pressure through your toes. Pulling the fascia, bringing lots of new blood to this area, really try and loosen the areas you'll feel at the minute where it's a lot lighter, and allow me to get slightly deeper into the muscle as well. But can be used in different ways. So this is just your static cupping. You can use walking cupping, which is where you put it here for starters like this, and then what you do is you just get 2 on the go and you just walk them down all the way through the calf. Then have your active cupping, which you might see in a second, depending on how your hamstring feels. We did a little bit of that last time. And there's different time frames for your cupping as well, like longer on, the more likely it's going to bruise, the more good blood you get in there, etc., etc. So it really does depend on what you need it for and how you do it. Can also be, for me, I'm going to say it could be a lazy way of therapy at times, because it could be that somebody comes in for a whole cupping session where you do a bit of a warm-up, 5 cups on it. As a therapist, that's you pretty much done, you just kind of leave them on there. Whereas I like to feel what's going on, and then evidently now, how does that feel for you?
Yeah, much better.
Yeah. So we really brought that art away, got that blood to that area and start down, and now that big lump that you have here, you're still going to get some because you have your tendons, your ligaments, your connection sites, but this there for you now is softened up and feels a bit softer for you mainly, which is what it's used for, mate. More for you than for me, really.
Yeah, it definitely does feel a bit better.
How's it looked in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, fine.
Haven't done last time.
Yeah.
You were feeling tired as well. I wasn't nice. Should have put that one on last time. Needed a nice little spa massage, really. What benefits do you see, like in simple terms, from a client's perspective, from my side? It's easy for me to sit here and sell myself, right? But what benefits do you see from having the massages and even the chiropractic sessions that you've been having as well?
Just generally feel a bit less fatigued in legs. Like, I think it's like quite a lot of it's like, it's almost feeling like getting the heat through the muscles. I mean, like, you know, when you wake up and you feel like maybe stiff, and I've obviously got to go and do the step session later. Like, I know this is like, it almost feels like a good warm up. And then, yeah, just generally, like, it's probably the longest time I've ever been injury free. And I mean, doing bi-weekly sessions of this and power and stuff, I mean, I would say it has made a difference, because I would say probably I was injured literally once every 4 weeks before. Like, I just could not get a period of non-injury. I guess the proof's in the pudding. I've actually not been injured. Touch wood. Yes. I think part of it as well is like you generally feel better after it.
Yeah.
Whether that's in your head or real, like, you know, for real. But I mean, feeling better is obviously a nice thing to have, you know. So that's good. Yeah.
What about I feel like some people don't want to talk about them, but there are probably at times, sometimes a negative aspect to receiving heavy treatment and stuff as well, right? In any treatment, that is, if it's injections or if it's sports massage, if it's chiropractic physio, there's always an element maybe that's not negative in the sense that it lasts for ages and it's a real downer, but is there any like acute immediate negatives that you sort of feel sometimes after receiving treatment?
Sometimes you can just feel like for a couple of days after, you can feel a bit less like spring in the step, and like it can, you know, it's probably a bit similar to like what I was saying before. Like, if you're like tight, sometimes you can feel like tight and fast. But if you like feel like, sometimes you can feel a bit like you've had a bit too much work done on the muscles and they've not really got much like spring in them.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then I will say, like, it is quite like a fatigue-inducing process. Like, post this, you can quite often feel like the best thing you want to do is just go to sleep for 2 hours, or like, you know, you can feel completely knackered, like, because it's a big effort. Like, I think last time we were supposed to do this video, but actually I was so tired that I was like, I physically don't have the energy to like do the speaking and the massage, because it can actually take quite a lot out of you.
Yeah, and it's something that if a lot of my clients, especially if they've had a heavy one, so like for you at the moment where you're in this sort of maintenance stage, you would say probably sort of like 80% is okay. That 5-6 days where it's bearable, it's okay, it's comfortable, and it does make a difference. But then you find 20%, maybe like places in the calves and certainly the quads that you just felt where it's like, oh, that's sore. And it's not that it's sore like a 10 phase where you're talking about immediate pain, but because your brain's going through that pain phase of trauma, everybody just gets exhausted when you're feeling any sort of pain, right? And that can be emotional pain, physical pain. A lot you get to this exhausted stage or tired stage, your brain just wants to switch off. But it's not something that everybody really wants to talk about. The big thing I find now with a lot of my clients is they're going for a correctional massage, which is me finding trigger points in areas a bit like the quads, but more of them. Again, it's physically demanding in that mode as well, because I might get you to do a lot of movement-based stuff, especially in the glutes like we've done before. And you felt that when something's trapped and you try and push it, it's like pushing heavy weight. You're trying to get through that stage and pass through it. But I don't think it's something that people really want to talk about, is that there are, maybe not for the long term, but certainly for the shorter term, some side effects, right? I think that's with anything you go through and have. How do these feel?
Yeah, fine.
Any pain?
No.
Good. But yeah, different types of treatments. A lot of people won't know, but you've probably been through, I would say, all of them pretty much, right? You've been through your correctional stage where, alongside with your chiropractor, we were doing a lot of loosening work around areas so you could get your manipulations, and then we were looking at certain areas to improve your stride or your technique of your running. And then we got to a stage where you're comfortable with that and you're injury free. So now it's very much like, right, okay, I need to stay where I am and decrease the risk of injury as much as possible. And this is one of the ways, along with your ice baths. And again, we spoke about earlier, your sleep, your nutrition, your water, your vitamins, so you don't get ill or you don't get your stomach bugs. Yeah, I think it's super important that people really recognise that there is a place for maintenance rather than actually having and being hammered all the time in the early stage where you're making the changes that needs to be done. But certainly as it goes on later, you don't necessarily need the heavy requirements of stuff. So yeah, talking about I'm going to get that glute now, mate, I'm afraid. So that'll be fun. So this is one of these physical aspects that we were just talking about. On your side, mate, face the camera. Cover your face if you want to, because there'll be some funny faces. Might not be so bad, because we feel something great fun. Bring that up when you keep driving. 2 weeks ago, this was stuck in there. Yeah. Just go back down and relax. Prop yourself up, just see how that feels. Someone lift that leg.
If you've watched this far and you're seeing this is where the pain starts now. That's not bad.
Lift that left leg as well. Right leg, see how that feels.
Obviously, right leg's a bit tighter.
Yeah. So what the feeling, try and use some words to explain that, because there'll be lots that come up for me all the time. But in your words, how would you say that one leg feels different to the other at the moment?
Well, this leg feels warm.
A lot of people say to me, for whatever reason, lighter, or they kind of say it feels a bit fluffy. I don't know why fluffy. I can't get my head around it, but fluffy is kind of like that leg just glides a bit more. And you'll find people that haven't had what you've had regularly, it gets kind of here and kind of stuck. So actually what they want is that stride to be able to get their knees up properly. So getting up here where it kind of gets past that point and you're able to do it glidingly. Most people get to sort of there, or they can get to the top, but they have to kind of force it. That's not the feeling you want. You want this light gliding feeling that you're now receiving. Very nice.
Just have to hope my legs still work when I go to do my session later.
Not been too deep today. Plenty of water. Lots of water.
This last couple of days, I've barely been able to keep any water in. So every time I drink, it's almost like I've got rabies. Like every time I drink water, so my body's trying to get it out.
She heard you, barely heard you say that. You say that has a huge difference. People watching that maybe don't understand the importance of hydration.
It's so important. Most of the time, just actually drinking just water is such a big difference. And people get so caught up with like the electrolyte thing now. It's probably like the best marketed product I've ever seen.
Electrolytes.
Mate, nobody drank any electrolytes until like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure we were okay.
Well, we had Lucozade, didn't we, back then? That was probably our electrolytes.
Well, it isn't, I mean, you are getting electrolytes and all the different foods and stuff you have. Like, obviously the branded ones. Like, they come in the drinks. They're so well marketed.
I think something you said which was quite striking and important to me was the water company you get your water from, and we're saying that on the back of it, it just says 0,000,000.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that think that that's good, and it's not. And you can taste the difference. For those of you who drink lots of water, right? Like, you can actually taste the difference. People say, oh no, water's got no taste, that's why I don't like it. But if you go, what did you say, Evian, you go and buy right every now and again, and swallow that, and you can actually taste the difference.
Minerals and different natural occurring electrolytes that are in the water. Like it almost tastes, when you drink water in Dubai, you know, they all like proudly state zero sodium, and obviously the rest of it's all reverse osmosis water, so it's all 0, 0, 0. And then when you actually go and taste like an Evian or something, and you can actually, it tastes salty.
Yeah, I left here with that theory, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna say, and I went and bought myself a bottle, and you can taste the clear difference. And some of them almost taste that metallic-y type taste that you have with blood as well. Like you can taste the metal. Yeah, a lot of people who get these 0, 0, 0, 0 don't realise that some of the damage that I guess they're doing over a longer period of time for having none of those things in the immediate term, especially when you're doing long distance runs and the summer here, right? Which is so important. You hydrate correctly.
Yeah, it's so important. Like the old osmosis thing, that in your body, like everything goes from like a high concentration to a low concentration. So if you're drinking something that has 0, your body will then, you basically like start to urinate out the concentrations of the electrolytes that you have in your body. I believe that's how it works anyway. So you're effectively like stripping yourself of all the nutrients and minerals that you have in your body, especially if you're absolutely pounding through the water, you know.
Can you overhydrate, do you think?
Yes. Overhydration is more dangerous than dehydration.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to running races. They're like, now, well, they used to do it when you got to the medical tent. They actually were like, for years, killing people at major marathons and major long distance races. They were, the source for this is the Science of Sport podcast, where they were literally talking about it. People were getting to the end of the Comrades Ultra Marathon. The medical tent people were putting drips into people's arms. And actually, the reason that most of these people were getting sick is because throughout the marathon they overdrank, and they were actually like diluting the amount of electrolytes they had in their body, and just like completely overhydrating themselves, and effectively causing like cellular drowning. It's called. And when these people, they didn't realise, but they were coming into the medical tent and they were putting them on a drip, and then after they put them on a drip, they were actually making it worse. Because although the drip is a saline solution, that technically when you actually put in the concentration of the amount of saline and amount of stuff that's in it, compared to like your total blood volume, still making it worse. And so now what they do is, when you come into the medical tent for the first 30 minutes, they just get you to lie down with your feet above your head, get all the blood to return to your body, and then most of the time that's like, you're fine.
Yeah, because that's where a lot of, like, for me as well, you see, talking about blood flow and stuff and the importance of it, like you see your footballers, you know, if you've ever been to a rugby or football stadium, years ago, now I understand that they have, like, underneath the stadiums, they have their cool down areas and stuff, but you waited, and if you were sort of one of the last in the stadium still, 25 minutes, 30 minutes later, that's when the players would then come back out again and do their cool downs. And it's something for me that's quite big with post-event massage and stuff as well, is people come to you in the immediate term, but because their heart rate's still going, you're basically still pushing around what's still there, and it's not all going because you're now not breathing as heavy and the oxygen's now coming back to the body, but it starts to settle. If you don't time it right, tying into what you just said about hydration, it's about timing, I guess, isn't it? Of when you start to take in the certain amounts that you need. It's like the boxers, isn't it? Like the rehydration course in the boxing, that's there to try and advantage another boxer. I remember watching a fight where some guy came in and was 14 pounds heavier the next night walking into the ring. And he lost the fight because I think he overhydrated. He was slow, he was sluggish, he was, thick set, probably ate far too much at the same time, and it just stalled. But there's something to be said for hydration and how heavy you can be if you start to drink too much water. How's that feel now?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, good. That's feel pretty good.
Yeah, some of the rehydration stuff in the UFC is like absolutely crazy. I'm sure like Pereira walks around at like 215 or something, and he fights at 190.
Yeah.
It's like 25 pounds, puts back on.
Well, I mean, you only have to look at, most people won't like the name, but Conor McGregor, when he was fighting Josie Aldo and all those at 145, 140, look how awful he looked at times. He managed it, right, but look how gaunt he looked, how skinny he looked. Completely shattered. If you get two pictures of Conor McGregor fighting I don't know, Jose Alvarez when he fought him, and then fighting down at that featherweight, Max Holloway, and look how gaunt his face, you could see his cheekbones, black eyes, the lot, right? It was,
Yeah, not good.
and then still going to perform at that. And then you get your lucky people who just walk around at the natural weight all the time. Get some freaks. Callum Smith, I've seen like 6 foot, I'm at cruiserweight, like heavy, those sort of areas, and he's what, 6'3" odd. Yeah, body's feeling good, mate. Ready for your 5k. Hopefully your belly will stick out for you. Get your 5k run done. Rehydrate a little bit for later.
Yeah, here's hoping.
Where you running?
What, today?
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably just wait till I come back here and we'll do it around here, around Tobacco or something.
Yeah.
But, like I said, I've got this meeting at 2:30, so sort of. I mean, I would have maybe been able to squeeze it in at 10 o'clock with the heat, but like obviously trying to do it too early is just gonna. It's still 30 degrees, so like I've got to watch it.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll do it at like 4 or 5 o'clock or something.
Yeah, and you have to give you have to give yourself time to replace some of the stuff that we pushed around as well with the water and the lymphs and replacing all of that. So it's something that I'm big on, is that people don't go into immediate activity with this type of massage that you've had because of the movement around the body. So you can then rehydrate, take any food in that you might need, because again, as you said earlier, you might feel a little bit tired. It's important to rehydrate everything. This first live podcast that we've done. We've done a couple of lives now.
Yeah, I did one the other day on, what's it called, on TikTok on Sunday night, and it was like what's it called? I don't know why. I just decided, alright, someone was like, oh, you should do these ones. I had like 500-600 people, I think, like twice as many people that have followers on there join me, and someone gave me $1.50. I don't know how. It's like a gift,
Just for your information, mate.
It's complete nonsense. All these people, like, you looked at all their profiles, they were all like bots. Or they look like bots anyway, but it's just like, this is obviously some sort of fake nonsense. I literally did like how to build your own training program on a Sunday night. And then I did one the next night. It was like different types of running shoes, and like nobody joined. So I was like, it's so weird. I wonder what it's like what I said before, that algorithm, like what does it push and like what does it do? Like, why did that first one, loads of people randomly join it? I don't know.
Because you're new, mate.
Not one single person. Because it shows like the amount of followers that you have that are on, and then all the other people who are like randoms. There's only 3 people that follow me who actually were watching this. The rest were just randoms.
Is it the broadcast on TikTok?
It's just the same as my Instagram.
Right, to himself, I've replaced the door. Last bit, all done. And that will be that for this week's podcast.
See how many people that like and subscribe and watch my horse for an hour.
Yeah, it's good for you. Lovely of you that they've all got now. Okay, that's it. Let's go. Keep pushing, mate. Good.
No.
Like, all good?
Pleasure. Thank you.
No problem.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. I'll stop this.
Thanks to everybody that watched, if they did.